Lichess. 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 Chess. Chess. Lichess. 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 Chess. Chess. Lichess. 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 Lichess.
All right, I think that's enough of that song. Has everybody had enough of that song? Oh boy. Oh boy, no rush with the answers. Hello, everybody. Actually, you're gonna listen to 10 more seconds of that song. You're gonna listen to precisely 10 more seconds because I have to go get a glass of water because I'm gonna be talking a lot. 10 more seconds. Count them out.
Lichess. Lichess. Lichess.
And time. Did I make it? Did I make it? There's some delay. It's not clear if I made it. I do have water now. That's good. Okay, we'll start this for real. The previous starting was a fake out. I wasn't ready to start, but I am ready to start now. How's everybody doing? Oh, you probably want to see me. Here I am. Here I am. How's it going? Am I in the middle of things? Is there anything embarrassing behind me? I used to have a bookshelf behind me, and people would like zoom in on the books and ask about the books and whatnot. So I've moved it. Now you get nothing interesting behind me. There's a window. It's closed. You get no information from that. And there's my little fishy poster. It's not even the whole fishy poster. It's half of it. It's good. You can focus on me. How's everybody doing? This is a Ask Me Anything stream, and I believe people should be familiar with how those work, but I'll go over it, in the beginning, just so everybody's on the same page. You all are going to ask me questions. We have made calls for questions already on Twitter, Facebook, and on Lichess itself. I'm probably going to take mostly questions from there and not so much from chat. I think that the stream is a little bit more watchable if sort of the questions and chat are apart from each other, but I don't mind if people ask in chat, because one very cool thing that happens when we do these streams is there are often lots of Lichess people, that is to say Lichess staff, in chat while I'm doing this, so very often the questions get answered by them. So if you have a very simple question that's just, the answer is yes or no, or linked to something, it's very possible that you ask something in chat and someone, one of my esteemed colleagues in chat will answer it before I get to it. I'm going to, I guess, try to focus on questions that are a little bit more in depth and not the sort of thing that's like, here's the link to that, because I think people in chat can probably answer those questions. Yeah, let's get started. There were so many questions. There were so many questions. I had some vague idea that I would just answer every question, even the silly ones, even if it was like a one-word answer. I would just answer every question, and it's just not possible. I think there were like 250 or 300 questions in the forum, another 100 or so on Twitter, and more on Facebook, so I don't like my chances of getting through all those questions. I will try to get through as many as I can. There are some questions I won't answer. Obviously, if you have been banned, we are not going to discuss that today, you and I on Twitch, for reasons that I think are obvious. There is an appeal system on Lichess, which you can use if you get banned, or if you get warnings. You can also, some people don't know this, you can use it to discuss warnings. If you get warned to stop doing that, you can also discuss that in the appeal system. It's very easy to find, lichess.org/appeal. So if you have any questions about you getting banned or someone you know getting banned or anything along those lines, then please head to appeal. I can't help you with that here. I am not supposed to talk about the specifics of cheat detection in the sense I'm not supposed to talk about what we look for to catch engine cheaters, but I think in the past I was too extreme in the way I talked about it, because there is a lot that I can talk about. I shouldn't just flatly say we don't talk about cheat detection, because there is plenty of stuff that it's fine for me to say. I just probably won't, go over games and tell you if I think that person is cheating or not, or if someone else was banned in the past. That's probably not going to be something I can talk about. But cheat detection in general is not a totally verboten topic. The questions in chat are pouring in. Oh, we also have a dangerous situation today. I don't know if it's going to come into play, but I might as well mention it. My young daughter, my 9-year-old daughter, called in sick today. She woke up with a cough, a little congested. She did not go to school. So I, as her father, am responsible for keeping an eye on her because my wife has a real job and I have a fake email job where I do Twitch streams. So I sort of, it falls to me. I wouldn't, I couldn't very well ask her to stay home. So I am, as you see right now, I am taking care of a small child. She's in the next room. I believe she's taken care of and has things to distract her. But there is a very real possibility she will come running in here. A very real possibility. So everybody be cool about that if that happens. Yeah, let's get started. Anything else I need to say? Let's talk about feature requests before we get into it. A lot of the questions that we get are feature requests. And I think it's important to you need to understand what you're asking for before you get the answer, because there is a lot of confusion on this point. A feature request is asking for something new from a website. Okay? So the website doesn't do this, and you're saying, hey, what if the website did this? What if Lichess had this game? What if it had a button that did this? What if instead of this happening, this happened? It's a whole new thing for the website. And a lot of these questions ask for them. When people ask us for features, very often the response is, when we're talking about it on our Discord or just out in real life or on Twitter or anything, when someone asks for a feature, they get a generally positive response. Not overwhelmingly positive, just sort of, yeah, that could be useful, sure. And then that feature that they suggested and got the positive response is not implemented. And I think, unfortunately, people assume that we were just blowing them off, that we were like, we didn't think it was a good idea and we were just trying to be nice or lying to them, and that's why we didn't implement it. And that's not true. I mean, it could be true, but it's probably not true. The truth is that there are a lot of good ideas. There are so many good ideas that there is just an ocean of good ideas. And what there isn't is an ocean of developers to build and maintain them. There are significantly less of those. So we have to be a little bit picky when we choose our next good idea. The other thing that people don't understand is website complexity. Everything that your website does makes the website more complex and makes it a little bit harder to take care of. If you go look at the Lichess GitHub, which is where all of our code is stored, and you can see all of it, every jot and tittle. Go look at the commits. Commits are new pieces of code. It's changes to the website. The overwhelming majority of commits, and there are commits almost every day by various people, various different Lichess developers. The overwhelming majority of commits are fixing or modifying existing features. Because when you make something, when you code something, I should say, the effort that it takes to code it is a tiny percentage of the total effort that you will eventually use taking care of it for years and years and years. Making new website features is like having a child. It's exactly like having a child. This isn't a metaphor. It's exactly like having a child. It is that level of responsibility. In the sense that making the child or making the feature is not totally trivial. It takes a bit of work. Maybe more so if you're the woman having the child. But that amount of work you put in to make the child is nothing compared to the work you will spend taking care of the child, right? So one should, of course, try very hard to not take in too many children that you may not be able to take care of responsibly, right? That is how we see things at Lichess. So to bring this all back around, when you give us your killer idea, if Lichess just did this, it would be so cool. We may agree that it would be cool. We may agree that it's a good idea, and we may still not implement it. So when we're going over ideas here, and I see some idea and I say, yeah, that could be useful, do not assume that that will be implemented tomorrow. Do not assume it will ever be implemented. Also, don't assume I'm lying, because I'm not lying. It is a cool idea. Things are just not that simple. Okay, I think everybody's on the same page. All right, let's get into questions here. Great analogy, thank you. Thank you. Okay, questions. Let's see here. Our source of questions are fourfold. Initially threefold, eventually fourfold. We have questions from Facebook, we have questions from Twitter, and we have questions from Lichess itself. We will start with, I believe these are the Facebook questions. All right. I hope it's not disrespectful to give like one sentence answers. Some of these I'm going to dig in and talk for 10 minutes and just drone on and blather as I like to do. And some of them I will just say yes or no, or one sentence, yeah, we're not doing that. Whatever. If your question gets a one sentence response, please don't be offended. Do you have any updates on Lichess Tutor that you mentioned in your last update? Yeah, we did a blog post where we mentioned that we were working on a feature called Tutor, and you can see some screenshots, I believe, of that feature in the blog post itself. Essentially, it is sort of a data gathering feature that looks at your games and looks how accurately you played in certain time controls or certain openings, and eventually it is going to give you some kind of call to action. It will give you some sort of suggestion on what to study or on what would be a good use of your chess learning time, if that makes sense. There aren't really any updates. We nothing super concrete. It's not ready to go. If it was ready to go, you'd already be looking at it. We are working on all of the little bits and pieces that make it up, and it could be a while. This is why we usually don't announce stuff until it's finished. Because if you announce stuff before it's finished, then you keep getting asked about it. If you just announce it when it's finished, then, hey, there it is. You can use it right now. Lichess is the best thing that has happened in online chess. What functions could you add to improve the strategy? I assume you mean like strategic learning? I don't know. I think that Lichess studies are a very powerful tool, and there's a lot of good Lichess studies out there. And probably if you wanted to learn more, theoretical, like strategic things instead of, puzzles and tactics, studies would be the way to go. I think that we can improve our study discovery. Yeah, I think right now, of course, there's a study search box, and you can discover studies if a user that you follow likes them, you see it in your timeline. We occasionally, tweet out studies. People might pass them to each other. You can discover them organically. I don't have a concrete suggestion on this account, but I think we can improve study discovery. And I would take any concrete suggestions from chat if you had them. What's your favorite spin-off website that is a website that uses Lichess software? Oh boy, I can't pick only one. There are so many. I'm not going to pick one. I'm just going to name a bunch that I like. I like PyChess a lot, and I'm not even sure PyChess qualifies as a spin-off anymore. PyChess is I should show you PyChess. Instead of describing it in the abstract, I should just show you. One moment, I will pull it up for you. We can look at it together. All right, here we go. This is PyChess, which doesn't seem to be loading for me. Did I do something wrong? Is PyChess down or something? Maybe I will describe PyChess in the abstract. Okay, PyChess is a website that looks very much like Lichess. I believe the last time I saw it, the homepage looked like the Lichess interface, but it has a ton of variants. We're taking a lot of questions today about variants. Why don't you make this variant? Why don't you make that variant? PyChess has so many variants. PyChess has many of the variants that people asked us for today. So everybody go check out PyChess. Calling it a Lichess spinoff actually probably understates the amount of work that went into PyChess. PyChess is not a copy paste. There are so many variants we don't have that work in a radically different way than Lichess works. Lichess was maybe more of a starting point or an inspiration than a spin-off. I rebel against that word a little bit to describe PyChess. What else has been made from Lichess? There's a site called Play Strategy that also has some interesting variants that comes from Lichess code. It is a Lichess fork. I don't know. There's a whole list of them. Somebody link the extensions page we have. Has a whole list of them. Apparently my URL for PyChess is questionable. Isn't Checkers another Lichess copy? I believe you refer to Lee... How do you say the word? Drafts? Draughts? Lee Checkers. Yeah. There, it's in chat now. That is also a Lichess fork, which is a pretty cool... How do you say that, by the way? Somebody give me a phonetic spelling. We don't call it that in the United States. We don't call it that because we use better words here. I'm sorry. Our words are better. Everything about us is better. Is it drafts? We call it checkers, which is an objectively better name. Sort of like soccer. It's the same thing with soccer. Lee Poker. Oh, there's a Lee Poker, isn't there? Okay, next question. Moving along. Where were we? Will there be an evaluation of the individual moves in the analysis? I believe you get that from the engine. You turn the engine on and it gives you a number, and that's a pretty good evaluation for me. Can you group players into countries so that we can compare the ratings rankings? Not really. That's going to be a tough one for us. And the reason why is going to be interesting. I'm a little dyslexic today. The reason why it's hard for us to show you countries is that we don't know what country every user is from. We have some clues. We have an IP address when you connect to us, and there are IP geolocation services that will tell us what country that IP comes from. The IP geolocation is not totally perfect, but it's pretty good. Usually gets the country right. Less often it gets the country right, less often it gets the region right, and less often it gets the city right. Basically, the more you drill down, the less accurate it is, but it's pretty accurate at every level. You may look at your IP geolocation for yourself and you'll see the next town over or something, but it probably won't say another continent. Other websites know very precisely what country everybody is from because they use tracking, right? The other websites know what country you're from. They know what your race is. They know what your gender is. They know how old you are. They know how many members are in your family. They know what your hobbies are. They know what you had for breakfast this morning. They know all of your deepest dreams and desires because of tracking. We do not use tracking. We neither look at tracking nor do we track our own users. So we don't know much about them. And frankly, we don't need to know much about them. Why do we need to know what your age is for you to play chess? How is that useful for us? It just seems like snooping to me. Why would that? I mean, the reason it would be useful is obvious. The reason it's useful is to sell it to advertisers or other nefarious people. But obviously, we don't do that sort of thing. Do you keep should I be careful about answering questions from chat? I feel like people are jumping the line here. Do you keep secret records of who cheated on the site? Well, yes, but only secret to you. They're not secret to Lichess moderators. Why can't we see flags when facing an opponent? I know there's a Chrome extension. Those flags that you see on people's profiles are set by them. People set their own flags, and we don't verify them. If a person puts a Australian flag on their profile, we don't go to check that they're actually from Australia. Anyone could just steal Australian valor and pretend to be a cool Australian when they are in fact another nationality. The people with pirate flags are not real pirates. Let's see. When will you include broadcast features in the Android app? Let's talk about the app. I think I can break some news today. There is a blog post coming out that is, unless it came out while I was setting up the stream, is not out yet. And I believe it's okay if I tell you what's in that blog post, because it'll be out either today or tomorrow. It won't be long. And the blog post makes some exciting announcements about the Lichess app. Halifax, what do you think? Should I leak the blog? I think I can. It's coming out. I should. Yeah, I wanted to wait a minute to add to the drama. It's nothing that crazy. Yeah. So we have hired a full-time app developer here at Lichess, and there will be a person whose only responsibility in life, at least professionally, will be building and maintaining the Lichess app. And we will also be building a new app starting from scratch. So the current app that is being used is only getting changes that are considered, critical, like security things or game-breaking things. And we are going to start from scratch on a new app with a full-time employee. More details on that in the upcoming blog. For the moment, the app that we have is perfectly fine and usable. And another thing that always needs to be mentioned when people ask about the app is mobile web. Lichess is very, very, very usable, and it's in fact how I use it. It's very usable on a mobile browser. So you just open up Chrome or Firefox or whatever you have, go to lichess.org, and there you have Lichess. And that is how I watch broadcasts, and that is how I send private messages when I'm out in the world doing my NoJoke things. And I would recommend it to everybody. I have heard that for faster time controls, people still prefer the app. And the app also has some functionality that the website doesn't have, like in real life clocks and probably something else I'm forgetting. So I would recommend everybody try, if you're worried about missing features on the app, go try the web interface on mobile, and I think you won't be disappointed. Downloadable puzzles. Oh yeah, that too. Next question. How exactly is the plus-minus points after a match works? What other parameters than rating influence the amount of points I lose or gain after a match? I think there's a lot of confusion about the rating system and about how we give out points, the all-important points. And I know that people live and die over these points, and I'm not even making fun of you. I live or die over them too, buddy. When I lose a chess game and see that, -7 or whatever, hits me right here. It hurts. I can relate to everybody. The number of points that you gain or lose is not really decided by Lichess. Not exactly. Right? It comes from a system called the Glicko system, named after a statistics professor at Harvard named Mark Glickman. And it is not designed to be fair. So we get a lot of emails and we get a lot of feedback where people are upset about the points they get. They say, well, when I won, I got 4 points, and then I lost 15 points, and how is that fair? And it's very discouraging, and it may be very discouraging, but the system was not designed with that in mind. Systems like ELO or like Glicko are designed to be predictive. They're designed to take two players and decide what are the chances that one of them will win. Who is the stronger player and by precisely how much? That is why it's used in chess. Not necessarily to show you who is precisely stronger than everyone else, but to show it to the Pairings algorithm. We want you to have a game on Lichess that is neither too hard nor too easy. We want you to play somebody that will be difficult to beat, that can sometimes beat you, but that you have a chance to beat yourself. And the rating system is extremely useful in that regard because it can very precisely predict how these things will happen. So when you get a -7 or a +7, that is not the evil Mr. Lichess behind the computer deciding your fate. It's just a math formula. Hope that makes sense. How do you get the LM title? You don't. Ever. Sorry. We don't give it out anymore. I would like my kid to play more on Lichess, but 1,500 starting account is too much. Any idea what to do? Well, if you make a kid account, which you probably should be doing anyway, for a kid, which you can do through lichess.org/class, C-L-A-S-S. I believe those accounts start lower rated. Is it 1,200, something like that? In any case, this is not a big deal. New accounts jump around a lot rating-wise. So my daughter plays Lichess games, and she's not, she's a bit below 1,500, and you will very quickly go up or down to your correct rating. So the first game you play on Lichess when you're 1,500, you're going to get a big leap in one direction or the other. If you win, you're going to go up a lot more than the average player goes up. If you lose, it's going to go down a lot more. And this is why speed runs don't really work on Lichess. They're also against the rules. That's the other reason they don't work. So don't do speed runs. Has everybody seen speed runs? Do people know what I'm talking about? These streamers will get a new account and then start playing people, and they're racing to get to a certain number, 2,400, 2,500, whatever. With the real rating system, that doesn't work, because if a 2,400 starts playing on a Lichess account that is brand new, they will get to 2,400 very quickly, if they can get high enough rated players. If they're playing players at their rating, they'll get to 2,400 in, if it took 10 games, I would be surprised. And you will also get a lower rating if that is deserved. The only way you can have these speed runs where a person races to 2,400 and they're getting 5 or 10 or 15 points is to manipulate the rating system and to give like fake, numbers. Lots of questions. Next one. Can you include let me make sure I didn't jump any questions. Yes. Can you include the server's carbon footprint for each server analysis we launched? That's a good idea. I like it. This is one of those ones I was talking about. I like the idea. It would be cool. Can't give you a timeline on when that might exist. Hey, I would like to have a QR code that I can print to make challenges on the flyers or something similar. A challenge that goes not only once, but every time someone scans the QR code. I like that idea. I like that a lot. What would you have a QR code for? The QR code for a challenge would be useful, right? So let's say I'm at a party or something and I like, hey, let's play chess. Well, what a loser playing chess at a party. But anyway, let's play chess, buddy, friend, at a party. And I type it into the app and I show you the QR code and you scan my QR code and then we're playing. That would be useful, right? What else would people need links for? Maybe teams? Maybe if you had an IRL chess club with a team, you could have people join the team. It's a good idea. I like it. Lichess, when did you become so damn sexy? Oh, since the beginning, brother. Since the beginning. Bakuz says, I've played chess at a party before. Frowny face. Me too, Bakuz. Me too, I must admit. The only correct way to play chess at a party is to be a serious player and play against people who aren't serious players and see how much you can drink while still beating them. That is the only correct way to play chess at a party. Like, you beat them on 5 beers. Can you beat them on 6 beers? Can you beat them on 10 beers? Etc. What else do we have? Optimize the phone app to that of the website's extra features. I believe we talked about that. Can you add a rules-free 2-player board? The analysis board allows for 2 people, but must follow rules. The board editor allows for rules-free movement, but it is only for 1 person at a time. That might be useful. I suspect, Mr. F, I won't try to pronounce your name. I suspect that the reason for this request is to play some variant. So I've seen people play variants on the board editor. Let me show you how that might work, more or less. So on the board editor here, which is up here, you don't need to play legal moves, right? You can put stuff wherever you want. You don't have to take turns. You just go, right? This can be used to play variants that don't exist on Lichess. assuming that they use an 8x8 board, assuming that they use regular chess pieces, assuming etc. etc. I have seen, let me set this up here. I have seen this variant played on the board editor, and I've worked at kids' chess clubs where I set this up and let them play here. So here's a variant that doesn't exist on Lichess unless you use the board editor. Pawns versus pawns, right? Pawn football, as they call it. So I suspect that that's why this person is asking about that. I'm not against the idea suggested to have a mutual board editor. I'm not sure how big of a priority it would be. I would guess that whatever variant you would like to play is very possibly available on PyChess or available on another site. So I would look into that. Let's see. Next question. Oh, this question. Will you add/recover the option continue from here when we try to set up insert positions from a chess variant? Also, in my possibly dubious experience, most of the time the computer analysis after a variant game is highly flawed, and often enough it is way more insightful to do a local browser analysis. Is there any way to fix it, or at least to enhance the utility? That's going to be a tough one to answer. As far as I know, the continue from here feature is still available. I guess let's check. Can we... So continue from here has to have a legal position, so I can't do it now. Yeah, there's continue from here. Do we not have it for variants, maybe? I don't know. I may have to just pass on that aspect of the question. What was the second part of it? Oh, that variant analysis is flawed. Again, hard for me to answer. I'm not a super committed variance player, so I'm not super in the know. If there is if you can be very specific about the problem with analysis and give examples of what it gets wrong and in what moments, I would recommend making a GitHub issue about it. Do you have any analysis for making or do you have any plans for making analysis even better, like to show us when we missed a win? Or how could we play better, like the green website? Oh, let me show you the questions. Here are the questions. First of all, you're allowed to say chess.com. I know that others are more sensitive about these things, but you can say chess.com, you can say chess24, you can say ICC, you can say fix. It's okay. I forgot the question. Make analysis better. Like a missed win. Well, there's something sort of like that. It doesn't say missed win. There's learn from your mistakes. Yes, Yahoo Chess is banned. If anybody says Yahoo Chess, we will be instantly banned. We have learned from your mistakes that shows you mistakes, but it just doesn't use the phrase missed win. It's just a significant mistake, which is pretty good. What else would I add to post-game analysis? I think the upcoming tutor feature may have some things that are good for post-game analysis. I would love for the user to be prompted for some kind of study after the game. I would love for them to be directed to a study or certain puzzles or a video or something along those lines. Another question about the app. I believe we already talked about that. Is there a plan to include various puzzle modes that are currently exclusive to browser, to the app, or any functionality like report button, custom background discussion threads? I believe we've already talked about the app. Again, I recommend trying mobile browser if you haven't tried it. All of those things exist on mobile browser. Is there a graph of the total number of users and games played in Lichess so that we can see the growth during the pandemic? Yeah, kind of. Mostly. I'll show it to you. Wait, will I show it to you? Yes, I will. One moment. Sorry, I have many windows that I'm juggling here. Here's what I want to show you. The database page. This is database.lichess.org. On this page, there is every rated chess game ever played on Lichess. That's probably not true. Almost all of them. Going back to 2013. There are also variant games. There are also puzzles. If you look at the numbers of rated games, you will sort of see the growth patterns for things like the pandemic and when the Queen's Gambit television show came out. So if we go back to February of 2020, which seems like a good time to go back to, you will see 44 million games, quickly going up, continuing to go up when Queen's Gambit came out, and it's sort of leveled off recently. And yeah, you could make a graph from that if you like. This is not every single game played on Lichess, but it's a lot of them. So anonymous games are not included. I think games against the computer are not included. I may be forgetting some things. So it's not every single game played on Lichess, but it does at least give you some proportionality for the growth. Like, I imagine those games that are not included grow at the same proportion as the games that are included. If that makes sense. Questions? What do we got here? Is there any plan to exclude exclamation point moves and double exclamation point moves in the analysis feature? There could be. There could be. I am not strongly against having an exclamation point in post-game analysis. I know chess.com has it. I don't love the idea. I could be overruled by other Lichess people, but I don't love it. The problem with having brilliant moves or exclamation point moves that you show the user at the end of a game is that I've never really heard a good definition of what is a brilliant move, like what qualifies. I'm sure you could come up with some definition. I'm not saying it's impossible to do. Most of the definitions that people suggest are just not precise enough. They say, oh, an incredible sacrifice. Well, if we're going to code it, it has to be a little more specific than that. Okay, a sacrifice, when you give away material and then you get checkmate. Well, Stockfish doesn't see that as giving away material. Stockfish says that you were up, a queen, and then you had a checkmate in 7. So if there is no definition of brilliant moves, then what are you giving out? Are you just giving out random dopamine hits? Are you just sort of, you want to sort of flatter the user with like meaningless stuff? I don't love the idea. However, if somebody could absolutely show up and give me an amazing definition of a brilliant move, and I would say, oh, actually, that's pretty good. Yeah, we should do that. I can imagine that happening. I just haven't heard that definition yet. How did Chris ascend to his current S tier level of coolness? Clean living, Tony. No, wait. I'm sorry, the opposite. Lots of drugs. So many drugs. and dirty living. I presume he's not answering questions from YouTube. Well, I answered your question. Kind of. Can you not train a neural net model for brilliant moves and run the current game against it to detect brilliant moves? Okay. Maybe. So, I guess we're going to... When you train a neural net, you don't just, give it an order like a dog. Neural net, go. You have to give it data to be trained on. So, that could be done. You could take human annotations and, whenever they give it an exclam, train it to look for that. But different authors would have very different standards, and I'm not super optimistic that the output would be so useful. But maybe. I mean, if somebody thinks that would work, I would love to see the proof of concept. If Lichess is free, why does it have ads on Twitch? Because you can't turn them off, my friend. There are also ads on YouTube, or I think there's ads on YouTube. So you can't turn them off. If anyone knows a way to turn them off, I would be very interested to hear about it. So unfortunately, the choice is not YouTube and Twitch with or without ads. It is to have a YouTube or Twitch channel or not have it. What else do we have here? Questions up here? Can there be a friends list that shows all of your friends? Currently, it just shows friends if they are online. Are you sure you want that? I mean, of course it's possible, but are you sure? My understanding of the friends list is you want to see who's online so that you can talk to them or perhaps play a chess game. Why do you want to see the ones that aren't online? There is a page that shows all of your friends. I can't show it to you right now because I'm not logged in on this browser, but if you click on your friends number on your profile, it shows you your friends. So that might be useful. What else do we have here? Am computer science student, all caps. Can I get an opportunity for internship with the Lichess dev team? Well, we don't really do internships. I don't know if it would make a lot of sense to do an internship, but we might. We could set up some program. The thing about Lichess is that a lot of the devs are volunteers anyway. A lot of the majority of the people working for the site are volunteers anyway. So when your whole workforce is largely or to a large extent volunteers, adding an intern to them is a little strange. Like, aren't they all interns? Aren't none of them interns? Why are almost, can you guys see that question? Yes. Why are almost all arenas without increment? I guess because that's the time controls that people like. There's not a whole lot of thought put into it. I assume that, well, okay, let me answer the question a little more precisely. Arenas can be any time control you like within reason. You can make classical arenas, you can make blitz, bullet arenas, you can make any arena you like, and if you can gather enough people to play in it, then you'll have an arena. I assume this question refers to official Lichess arenas. And yeah, we just choose popular time controls for those. And of course, we get a lot of feedback. Can we have this kind of arena? Can we have that kind of arena? I'm not against it. What else do we have? We are still on Twitter questions. We haven't even got to the forum yet. We are 50 minutes in and we haven't gotten to the forum yet. Oh my God. There are so many questions I'm not going to answer. I'm very sorry if I missed your question. Would you make insights more user-friendly soon? I'd love to. A concrete suggestion might be useful. I'm not sure how to make it more user-friendly. How do they finance themselves to be so great? Well, that's an easy one. Donations. Well, okay. 99.999% of our money, and we do need quite a bit of it to run the site, comes from donations. It's a very tiny amount of money that comes from the merch store, and we've been hired to help run tournaments a couple of times, and more than a couple times, a few times, and got paid for it. But that money makes up a very small amount of our income. The overwhelming majority, well above 99% of Lichess's money comes from donations. And, interestingly enough, mostly small donations. I haven't checked it recently, but the last time I looked, the average donation was somewhere in the range of like €5. It's a very small amount of money. Most people donate a very small amount of money, and that is very different from some charities that I've worked for in the past. Many charities rely heavily on big donors, and the real gold mine is corporate donors. So most big charities, I don't know if I should say most, a lot of charities, you can go to their website and there will be a page that says sponsors. And you go to that page and you will see banks and investment houses and oil companies and Monsanto, and you'll see corporations, and they've given this charity some money in order to, get their logo put on the website and probably other things to sort of show off their donation. And I don't blame them for doing that, by the way. If you're feeding the hungry or something, you do what you have to do to make that happen. Lichess does not have such a page. And we do not, as far as I know, have any corporate donations. All of our donations just come from Lichess users. And for me, that makes me very happy. That that Lichess isn't, at its base, a rich person or some group of rich people deigning to allow the world to have free chess. It is chess players paying for their own chess, as much as they're able. And as much as they're able can be zero, and we won't hold it against you. Where were we? Why does your backend mainly use Scala rather than a more common language? What's the reason behind the choice? Well, our esteemed founder, Thibaut, wrote a blog post that somebody could probably link. It talks about the decisions that were made when he first started making Lichess. I will say I assume that there is some utility in choosing languages that are more common or easier to learn or more well-known. But generally, my impression is that the devs pick languages, that make the site run well, that they pick the tool for the job, if you will. I would like if I could remove notifications from the side panes. This is from YouTube chat. Somebody said I wasn't reading YouTube chat, so I feel like I have to prove it to you then. I would like if I could remove notifications from the side panes. I've seen Eric Rosen started streaming for weeks now. I have good news for you. Repo Sandman? The other day I heard one of our developers talking about that, and I believe that those notifications will have timers very soon. I believe. Next question. Any future browser extensions coming soon? Also, is there a way of getting those browser extension as in-app options? I'm not sure exactly which browser extensions you're referring to, but Lichess doesn't really make browser extensions. So whatever browser, let me think if that's true. Yeah, that is true. I believe Thibaut wrote a user script, which isn't really an extension, but the big extensions, the one that this person is probably referring to, were not written by Lichess itself. So what are the big extensions? Prettier Lichess is not written by Lichess. The random challenge extension that streamers use was not written by Lichess. None of them are. So which extensions are coming soon? I don't know. You tell me. Just trying to be in trend with check marks and edit button stuff. Are you going to add username edit button? Changing usernames is unlikely to be introduced anytime soon. Let me be a little more precise on that. Changing usernames already exists, but probably not in exactly the way that some people want it. Here's how you change your username on Lichess. You close your account with the username you don't want, and then you open a new account with the username that you do want. Bingo bango, easy peasy, you've changed your username. Now, of course, that's not the problem with that, or what could be a problem for many people, is that you haven't really changed your username, you changed account. So you don't take the game history with you, you don't take your private message history with you, etc., etc. The way our database is set up, it would not be totally trivial to implement username changes. And it is not, I wouldn't say it's a super big priority right now to implement it. I won't say that there will never be proper username changes on Lichess, but I would not expect it to come anytime soon. I don't think there's any feature that I would say would never be on Lichess. Never's a long time. Somebody's probably going to look up a previous stream and find me saying never. Never's forever, man. How am I supposed to know what we'll be doing 10 years from now? Next question. What do we have here? I need to move quicker or I'm not going to get through any questions. Add a feature that allows me to filter games by openings played. Isn't there a... One moment. Isn't there a field on advanced search that allows you to do this? Well, I believe there's a field for eco, which doesn't exactly search for openings. I mean, it allows you to search for certain openings, I guess. I see a Danny Wrench in you. How can I unsee that? Wow. I don't know what to say about that. Maybe I'll just take the next question. Will you ever allow coaches to be listed other than titled players? So, Lichess has coach pages. If you have a coach page, there is a one of those graduation hats on your profile, and you are also in a searchable list of coaches right here. Look at all these great coaches. And right now, the only coaches that we allow, with the exception of a few that were grandfathered in, are title players. And I don't love this as a solution. I don't love this as our way to gatekeep who gets a coach page. But unfortunately, I can't think of a better method. We need there to be some limit. I don't think that this feature works well if you have 50,000 coaches. I think that breaks the feature. You'll have tons of spam. You'll have like tons of people who decided they wanted a coach page for 10 seconds and filled out a third of it and then gave up, and it makes the feature unusable. So we do need some sort of limit, and it's probably going to be a sharp limit, because I would bet the percentage of people who want coaches pages, or excuse me, the number of people who want a coach page is going to be a lot higher than the number of people that can get one. So it's going to be a pretty sharp limit. And making it titled players is very easy and very practical. Every person who comes to us to ask for them, and there are many, there's a very clear criteria. It is either a yes or a no. There's nothing to think about. If we have a more squishy, vague criteria, then approving the coaches becomes a lot more work, and deciding on the criteria becomes a lot more work, and we don't want to do it at this time. I'm personally not against having untitled players have a coach page. It's just somewhat impractical to make happen. Some of the best chess coaches I have ever met were untitled. Next question. Oh, we're still on Twitter. We're going so slow. I'm very sorry to... What's the one we haven't done? I'm very sorry for forum users who don't get their question answered. I'm going quick. Could you put the spotlight on more of the smaller Lichess streamers? Slots for front page and occasional shoutouts on social media would inspire a lot more users to stream on this awesome site. I would love to do more for smaller streamers. I would love to do more for streamers in general. It's slightly complicated. So let me show you what we do first of all, so we can have that as our starting point. There is such a thing as Lichess streamer page, and there's essentially no limitation on who gets a Lichess streamer page. If you misbehave or you're not a nice person, we might not give you one, but you don't need to be titled to have a streamer page. Anybody can apply for a streamer page, and you'll probably get it if you're not, too much of a jerk. If you have a streamer page, all of the people who follow you get a little notification on the homepage on the left side that you began streaming. And you also have a streamer page with the embedded Twitch stream, which is sort of deprecated. We don't link it anymore. There is a second tier to streamers. These are the ones that are linked on the homepage. Very helpfully, there's none. There's none right now. You'll have to take my word for it. Above this, where you see me, there would usually be a few streamers listed. That is not available to everyone. We pick and choose who gets their name up there when they're streaming and who does not get their name up there when they're streaming. We call those front-paged streamers because they are put on the front page. I am not totally comfortable with the current system where we pick winners and losers, but it's sort of like coaches in that I don't know of a better one. When we put somebody on the front page, we basically just vote. We just discuss among the team, and we decide yay or nay to put somebody up there. My personal criteria for who gets up there is serving the users. So I think the average Lichess user, would they be happy to see that this person is streaming? Would they be happy to be made aware of it? Would they be happy to discover the stream? Or would it just be spam that they don't even see after a while? And I think in order for the feature to work properly, it needs to be limited. There can't be 25 names up there. If you put over here. If you put 135 names up there, none of them get seen. The user just totally blanks out. It's just invisible immediately. Usually the limit is 5 people. It gets pushed up during big events sometimes, but it needs to be a small number to work properly, which means that it needs to be limited, which means we can only give it to some people. If anybody has suggestions to make that system better, I would love to hear them. What are we talking about in chat here? It's always slightly disorienting when you're talking about one thing and you sort of get in your groove and you're talking about it, and then you turn and look back to chat and they're talking about something else entirely. You're allowed to do that. Don't stop for me, but I'm not going to scroll up and see what you're talking about. I'm sorry. I need to keep this ship moving. Questions? What do we got here? You consider introducing a reply training feature on the site. Don't quite follow what reply training is. I'm sorry. Don't know what that means. If anybody in chat wants to help me out. What about adding a mega database, i.e. Yata Chess, so you can compare your games to general classical games, not only masters, plus use the database for tournament prep? Well, you can already look at Lichess games. That is, games that are played on Lichess. We've discussed making some changes to the database system. We might have basically a GitHub that has our masters database, and it would also have sort of a style guide of what games we want in the database. But this is all in the very early development stage. Next question. Can you see it? Yes. Why do people generally consider ELO on Lichess to be inflated compared to chess.com or FIDE? Is this an accurate assessment of the situation? If so, is ELO on Lichess ever going to be changed to be more accurate with ELO in other chess organizations? Well, I'm sorry. Wait, have you been reading Twitch chat or YouTube chat? Both. But there's a lot of you. It's hard. The premise of the question I disagree with. First of all, neither chess.com or Lichess use ELO. They use Glicko. It's similar but different, superior system, in my opinion. So that's the first fact check we're going to do. Accurate is also not the right word, because what you're saying is not accuracy. You're describing it matching other rating systems. You're describing it matching FIDE or matching chess.com or being consistent. That's not accuracy. That is just being consistent with something else. Thirdly, fourthly, fifthly, inflation is not the right word for what you're describing, in my opinion. When I think of rating inflation, what I think of is you have a rating system with players that is totally static, or reasonably static. All the players are just as strong as they've ever been. Nothing has changed, and you play some games and your rating goes up anyway, despite the static nature of the system. That is what I imagine as inflation. What is described here is not inflation, in my opinion. It's just two different scales. So, do you think that miles are, well, we'll do it the other way around. Do you think that kilometers are inflated compared to miles? Is the Chinese yen inflated compared to dollars? I mean, of course not. They're just different systems that measure different things. And one thing that I think people don't realize is that they will never match up perfectly. Somebody on Twitter suggested just lower ratings across the board by 300 points, and that'll fix everything. And it won't fix everything, because the gap between, Lichess and FIDE ratings is not precisely 300 at every level. At certain levels, it's a little bit more. At certain levels, it's a little bit less, right? The other problem is that you're comparing FIDE Classical to Lichess, online Blitz, which, of course, isn't a good comparison. My explanation has been slightly meandering, but I disagree that they're inflated. They're just different. They're not better or worse. They're just different. Have Lichess ratings increased over time? So, this is a good question. There was a blog post by a writer that I like and read a lot named Nate Salon. I hope I'm saying his last name correctly. Where he talked about inflation on Lichess. And the conclusion of the article was that yes, there was inflation on Lichess. And I disagree with it, but not because his work is wrong. His work was perfectly correct. I just disagree with what he considers to be inflation. If you had a certain rating on Lichess, years ago, it is possible that you have not gotten one iota stronger or weaker, and your rating will be higher now than it was years ago. And many people would think that's inflation. That's not inflation for me, because the whole rating system is not totally static. Lichess has far, far, far more players than it had years ago, dramatically more. So if you were a 2200 player in 2015, you might be a 2300 player now, because there are more players below you. There are more players overall. And it doesn't mean that your rating is inflated. It just means that now you're at 2400. I think the thing that people don't understand is that ratings aren't objective. Ratings are only relative. If you are a 2200 player, all that means is that you are 100 points better than a 2100 player and 100 points worse than a 2300 player. There is no objective strength level that is unchanged, for eons. It's just not how it works. Man. Why is Lichess free? Why wouldn't it be free? Would it be better if we charged you? I don't think so. I feel like that's inflation, but that's just me. The important thing to keep hammering into people's skulls is that ratings are relative to each other at a certain point in time. Yeah, I mean, Nate's definition of inflation is perfectly fair, and Knows All's definition of inflation is perfectly fair. The word does not belong to me. I may not define it as I like. All right. Oh man, I'm losing steam. We're gonna get to such a low number of questions. Oh, what else do we have here? Are you thinking of? I'm gonna try and answer these questions quicker. This is the solution. Are you thinking of developing any cosmetic changes to Lichess soon, or are you mainly focused on back-end functionality? Oh, we're focused on everything. I don't know. There's no one thing. If cheating is the biggest problem to online play, who invests the most and is most effective in cleaning up the game? I assume you mean Lichess compared to other sites. I haven't the slightest idea. I don't play much on chess.com or chess24 or ICC, and even if I did, I wouldn't feel qualified to speak about how effective their cheating detection methods are, because I don't get to see behind the curtain. So I haven't the slightest idea how to answer that question. I do know something about Lichess cheat detection, but I can't compare it to others that I don't know anything about. No question, I love you, Lichess. We love you too, KB. You're the best. The worst thing about Lichess is losing on time when the opponent has insufficient material to make. Oh, I'm going to need to talk about this one. I'm going to need to immediately break my resolution to not talk a lot about it. Let's discuss. I need a chessboard. So, we get a lot of... board editor is probably better. We get a lot of emails and a lot of questions about positions like, I don't know, let me set something up. Let me try to not be dumb setting it up. something like this. Is that right? Yeah. Somebody will flag in a position like this, and they will say, and they lose because they flagged, they ran out of time. And they'll get very upset, and they'll write an all caps email where they say, how is this a loss? There is no possible checkmate, etc. Of course, there is a possible checkmate. Let me show you. If we put this here, and this here, and this here, and that there, you will see that that is a checkmate. The current settings on Lichess is that when you run out of time, when you flag, if there is any possible checkmate by any possible series of moves, you lose the game. With one very small, insignificant exception. There are positions that don't have any legal series of moves that lead to checkmate that will result in a loss on Lichess, but they are incredibly uncommon. The last time we looked into it, they happened in something like 1 in 10,000 games. So I've played a lot of games on Lichess. I think I've played, it's like 11 or 12,000 games or something over 8 or 9 years. I don't know, however long it's been. So this situation would probably, on average, have come up one time, or possibly 0 or 2 times, somewhere in that range, in all of the years I've been on Lichess. That's how uncommon it is. Let me show you a situation that I'm talking about. We are currently unable to detect positions like this. Let me put a king on the board. There we go. If you flag in this position, you will indeed get a loss when there's no series of legal moves that leads to a checkmate. And of course, there's no series of legal moves because this is a totally foolproof fortress. You couldn't lose this game if the two players cooperated to make it happen. Another situation, this one's going to be harder for me to figure out. Let's see if I can think of one on the fly. Something like this. White to move. Yeah, that's right. So in this position, white to move, there is no legal series of moves that leads to checkmate because even though black has a queen, there is only one legal move for white on the next move, which is to take the queen, and then you have a drawn position, obviously. These positions do happen, but they are incredibly, incredibly uncommon. Could we detect them and give out draws instead of losses? Of course we could. I mean, if the question is like, can it be detected? Of course it could. That's not the interesting question. The interesting question is it a good idea? So how would we detect it? Well, there would be some script at the end of the game that you would have to run that would, look for these positions. And you need that script to be really, really lightweight because it's going to be run on 5 million games a day. And no matter how lightweight you make it, running it 5 million times might make it less lightweight than you expect. So we run the script on every game, and it increases the CPU time, or it uses up our resources on every single game that's played to deal with the situation that comes up 1 in every 10,000 games. So yes, it's possible. It may not be the best value for money, if that makes sense. I hope I explained that well. Let's see. Next question. Will Lichess add duck chess as a variant? Probably not. Very unlikely. When we add new stuff, I mean, I gave a whole spiel at the beginning about adding new things about feature requests. The new things, we're very careful about adding new things to the website because we don't want to increase complexity. We don't want to make the website too hard to maintain. Different features have different levels of complexity. For example, I heard my good friend Thibaut talking about, can I show this to you? Puzzle Streak. This is Puzzle Streak. You solve some puzzles. The puzzles get harder progressively. When you solve one, you get a 1. When you solve 2, you get a 2. And if you get one wrong, you go back to 0. I heard my friend Thibault say that this was a very easy feature to code because everything it has already existed. We already have puzzles. We already have the correct answers for the puzzles and the incorrect answers for puzzles. We have the difficulty of puzzles already because puzzles are rated, so we can tell you which puzzles are a little harder and which puzzles are a little bit easier. We have a chessboard that functions as a chessboard with all of the chess pieces moving like chess pieces. We just had to add a little bit on the top with, giving you puzzles at appropriate rating levels and keeping track how many you've gotten right. Easy feature. Let's talk about something like Bughouse. Bughouse is not as easy. Where to begin? Bughouse has 4 players. No game currently on Lichess has 4 players. You're going to have to seek for a game. The game seek system has to include 4 players. You're going to have to rate the game. The rating system has to include 4 players. There has to be some post-game analysis that has to include 4 players, right? The 2 players have to interact. They have to pass pieces to each other. That one is significantly harder. So to circle back to the question here, duck chess is very unlikely to happen. Nearly impossible, I'd say, in the short term. And I don't like the chances of any new variant coming onto Lichess anytime soon. Because the complexity they add is significant and the user base is not the highest. I don't want to talk too much trash about variants because I love my variants players. I don't want to say anything negative about you guys. But the most popular variant on Lichess is less than 1% of games, which are very important games and very important players, and we want to take care of them. But these are the sort of things we have to think about when we implement new features. Yeah. Variants revolutions are coming. We love our variants. Questions. What do we got here? Man, we haven't even gotten to the forum. We have 40 minutes left. We haven't gotten to the forum. Is it planned to add round robin tournaments? That would be so nice. Probably not. Round robins don't work very well for online chess. With any tournament format that you would like, you can always sort of organize it yourself. You can use API pairings to just give people the games, or you can just have them challenge each other. But I assume you're talking about having a tournament page and everything along the lines of an arena or a Swiss tournament. Unlikely to have round robin, and we're also unlikely to have knockouts. They don't work amazingly well for online. Online tournaments, the sort that are like public and that anyone can play in, they have a lot of people leaving the tournament. They have a lot of people that disappear. That is no problem at all for an arena tournament with enough people. It is not a disastrous problem for Swiss tournaments. For knockout tournaments and round robin tournaments, it is a big problem. So that's why those sorts of events don't really exist in online chess at all. Great fan of Lichess, better than all the other online platforms for chess 100. Thank you, Sujan. Ever thought about breaking chess 960 ratings into Blitz, Bullet, Rapid, and Classical? Probably not. Let's look at a profile page and you'll see why. Do you remember what I said about complexity? Remember, we want to keep things simple. We want to keep the interface simple. We want to keep the whole website simple. Do you know what's not simple? Ratings. Look at all these ratings. Look at all these ratings. There are so many. So we're not anxious to add more. I won't say that we will never, ever, ever add more, but we don't want to make your profile page just 10 miles long. There's probably not enough, we could have, for every variant, we could have, 5 time controls and just have, kilometers of ratings, but doesn't sound exciting to me. This AMA is depressing. I really am just saying no to everything. Tune into the Lichess stream To hear NoJoke say, while you will never get what you want, you will achieve none of your dreams, you'll never find happiness. All right, what's the next question? Will you add more variants in the future? I think I answered that one. Oops, questions. Please, more pre-moves. I assume that this is asking for multiple pre-moves like chess.com has. I do not expect that to be implemented anytime soon, and it's not a like complexity or a resource issue. It's a competitive issue. I am not a super enthusiastic, hyperbullet or bullet player. So I will try not to speak so authoritatively. But in my opinion, the multiple pre-moves brings the skill ceiling down for bullet chess. If you are someone like Andrew Tang or Hikaru Nakamura and you are very, very, very fast with your mouse and you are very, very fast in your calculation, that gives an advantage because you can make the move physically with your hand faster than another player can, and that gives you an advantage, and that could be the reason that you win a game instead of losing it. When you have multiple pre-moves, that allows a patzer like me to bring my level up to where Andrew Tang is without really deserving it, right? I probably, if you give me a reasonably complex endgame that I'm winning against Andrew Tang and I have 5 seconds on my clock on Lichess, I'm probably not going to be able to finish it out. I just can't do it fast enough, and he'll be playing moves instantly. It'll be pre-moves every time with him, so I'm going to lose a little bit of time on every move. He'll probably get out of it, right? If you have multiple pre-moves, it's a little bit easier because I can stack them and et cetera, et cetera. So no multiple pre-moves. We don't like multiple pre-moves. Did I say Andrew Tate? Andrew Tang. I don't think I said Andrew Tate. Grandmaster Andrew Tang was who I was referring to. What's the timetable on implementing touch move? We'll have it for you tomorrow. That one we can do easily. What else do we have here? Any plans to have a train your repertoire feature in the future similar to Chessable? We sort of kind of have, well, okay, what we have is interactive lesson chapters on studies. So if you open the study, it prompts you, what's the move here, and you play the right move and it says great, but if you play the wrong move, it says sorry, not that one. This is sort of like what the person asking, but it's not a one-to-one comparison with Chessable at all, obviously. I think you could make opening courses with it, but it would need other regular study chapters. I don't know if I've answered the question. I guess the answer is no, like it is to all the other questions. We talked about variants. Could you let users use their own custom pieces or custom game boards? There are so many downloadable extensions with different kinds of chessboards. If you just search on extension sites, you'll see them all. So that already kind of exists. Maybe you're asking if it would be like doable through the website. No plans to do that in the near future. Add stats for games lost on time. Is that possible? I believe in your advanced search box there, you can search for the way that you lost, if that's the sort of thing you're looking for. Where does Lichess get its money from? It can't just be the donors, right? It can just be the donors. It is just the donors. Would you like to refactor some of the backend code base in Haskell? No. No, that sounds like a lot of work. I do not want to do that. No, thank you. Will Lichess pay to Musk? I assume this is for verification. Lichess has a verified Twitter account, and new Twitter owner Elon Musk has discussed plans to charge for it. I guess it would need to be discussed with the team, and my opinion is not the only one. Personally, I would be against paying for it. Personally. How do you pronounce Lichess? Lichess. Why did you go with Scala? How hard is it to catch a cheater on the spot instead of 2 days later? I will refer you to Thibaut's blog post that you can find from his profile on Lichess, where he talks about the decisions made when he began building Lichess as far as how to set things up and the languages, etc. He discusses that. The second part of the question is, how hard is it to catch a cheater on the spot instead of 2 days later? I think I can say that generally, the more games played, it is easier to catch a cheater, but that can be very different in different situations. So that is not always true. Here's my question. Why a newly created account has default ELO of 1500? Why not start at 500? Once the player in debt of negative 500, delete his account. I don't quite understand the second part of it, but we start ratings at 1500 because that is the recommended started rating by by Harvard statistics professor emeritus Mark Glickman, who designed the Glicko rating system. Any news on Lichess Tutor? No, not really. What programming language did you use to create code Lichess? Well, the back end is Scala. The front end is mostly TypeScript. You can check our GitHub page for more details. What's it like for, oh, this is a personal question. I remember this one. What's it like for Lichess staff to take their job in scare quotes very seriously? That's fair, by the way, job in scare quotes. I agree with that completely. What's it like for Lichess staff to take their job very seriously despite doing it for free? Is Lichess the main source of power and control the staff have in their life? Ooh, that question took a strange turn in the second half of it. Not everybody who works for Lichess is a volunteer. We do have paid staff. We even have full-time paid staff. We have both full-time and part-time staff. The majority of people who work for Lichess, the big majority, something like, I don't know, 70, 80, 90% are volunteers. And the site would not exist without the work of volunteers. They are absolutely critical. So I guess to answer the question, I'm getting slightly far afield here. What's it like for me to take the... I mean, okay, I am one of the people who gets paid, but previously I was not. Previously no one was. The first ever paid Lichess employee was Thibaut. And even he did it for free for many, many, many years. I did it for free for many, many years. I believe my time working for free for Lichess is still longer than the time that I've been paid by them by a significant amount, maybe twice as long. It's great. To answer the question, it's great. I love working for Lichess when I get paid for it. I loved it when I was a volunteer. It's the greatest thing in the world, man. I don't know how else to put it. Do you make any profits? How much are donations per year? We are planning to release more on as far as our donations. We actually have to, because as a French charity, you have to give a full and public financial reports, including your donations, including how it's spent, etc., etc. We paid an accountant a lot of money to prepare those forms. They are publicly available if you know how to look them up. Those forms are not especially readable or digestible, so we are working on a separate document that sort of gives the most important bits and is a little bit easier for your eye to scan. Hopefully that will be out soon. Profits? No, not really. I mean, I guess my question is, what do you mean by profits? When you say profits from a business, I mean, generally that means the money that the owner of the business puts in their pocket and walks away with. If that's what you think profits are, then there are no Lichess profits. Like, people get paid a salary, and that, doesn't change depending on how much money comes in. Lichess expenses do not exceed the amount of money we take in, so if that's profit, then yes, we have a profit. What else do we have? Try really hard to make reporting in the app something that is easy to do. I don't want to get game ID and whatever else is needed. It should be that complicated. Click and report. Reporting is probably a little bit easier in the mobile browser. When you report, it is required to link at least one game. We do that to try and cut down on low effort reports. There are users on Lichess who literally report every user they lose to. If they've lost 256 games in their history, they have 256 reports. And these reports obviously make the mod's job harder, because a mod's job is sorting through reports and trying to act on them. And so if you have these people giving these low effort reports, it just obfuscates the real cheaters. It makes everything harder. So it's very useful to have some bar for entry where we make it just a little bit more work than just saying he cheated, send, you know? Oh, what else do we have here? Oh, we're finally to the forum. Oh boy, I need to move so much quicker. Could there be a by game rating chart as well to track what times we play better and all-time leaderboard to show the best players ever in each mode? Great idea to have this, by the way. I mean, that just sounds like different ratings for different time controls. Am I misunderstanding the question? And all-time, the second part I like a lot. A list of the all-time highest rating would be pretty cool. And I want to say it already exists somewhere, but I'm not sure about that. Every time Magnus starts playing Bullet, and he's rated like, 5,400 or whatever it is now, we always, somebody looks up like what the highest all-time Bullet rating on Lichess is. It'd be nice to have that documented somewhere. Why don't you post caught cheaters information? We need numbers, how many cheaters you catch each month. Let's go hunting and post it all. That could be interesting. We might eventually post something like that. I worry slightly that it would be like fool's gold data, because if we posted how many people we banned in a month and how many reports we cleared and how many people we banned for different offenses, I worry that amateur data scientists would start to compare it to other sites, for example, which wouldn't, it's not an apples to apples comparison. Like, they're totally different systems. I feel like we might be giving impressions that aren't correct, but I'm not against having the information out there. Can we ask in other languages except English? Well, that is the language that I understand. So if you want me to answer the question, you probably have to ask in English. You can use Google Translate, can't you? What else do we have? How many hours in total have been played in every single chess game recorded on the site? I couldn't begin to know. I'm sure you could figure it out using the database, the terabytes of data. I don't recommend you do that. That would be a lot of work. When are you going to do something to deal with the AFK non-moving player problem in Swiss tournaments? There have been multiple threads recently with many suggestions that would improve the user experience greatly. Well, I have good news for you, born in the 60s. There were some code changes today to do with the Swiss tournaments. And I'm actually not totally sure what they are. Let me look them up real quick. So if you want to be a sneaky snake and follow the things we're doing and get the inside info, get the hot gossip, you can go to our GitHub page and you can look at the commits right here. Here are the most recent commits. The last one was 2 hours ago. Commits are just code changes, things that change in the database. And the interesting thing here is that these are very often very understandable if you are not a developer. They have comments, the title sort of says what they do. You're unlikely, if you don't, if you're not a developer, you're unlikely to understand the code, but you can understand the comments. And probably the ones that you're interested in are going to be the ones that are easier to understand. So, I'm sure I saw one on Swiss's somewhere. Here we go. Here we go. So here was the... I'm not going to try and explain what this is on the fly because I'm not sure what it is. But, I mean, this looks pretty human understandable, right? Hopefully that answers the question. Oh, boy. How did you choose your original OG's main admin team for Lichess? I started working with Lichess in 2015, maybe? 2016? I don't know. I would have to look that up. It's been a while. In the beginning, Lichess was very small, and it was very casual. It was just a group of friends, right? Is anybody in a Discord server with like 6 of your friends? That's what Lichess was in 2017. It was just a small group of people. There were like 10 of us. 5 of them were mods, 4 of them were devs, and 1 of them was me doing nothing useful. And it was all very casual. The way we chose people is just however you make friends online. Like nothing more complicated than that. Nowadays there are much, much more rigorous procedures and many more people. It's a very different thing now, but it's still good. What else do we have? Why was the pairings algorithm worsened permanently? That's quite an accusation. I mean, the Agudmator arena crashed, but we never had a comparable arena again, and pairings got slowed down since then. Also, please implement better changing of board size. I don't need a board to change it when I know what percentage I want, and changing should also be done faster by pressing plus or minus. The important for bullet ultra bullet players to always have the right size of the board, etc. The second suggestion seems reasonable to me. I don't have any feedback on that. I guess it would be nice to have a more precise way to set the board size. I'm not sure what the exact solution would be, but I see it. I would encourage this person to make a GitHub issue. The first one, don't take this the wrong way, but if you are saying that arena pairings are slowed down, then you need to demonstrate that. I'm not saying that they aren't. They very well could be. But make a GitHub issue for that as well. And in the issue, you need to demonstrate that they're slower. You can't just say, they seem slower to me. We have monitoring for things like this. I don't have it in front of me to check, but it wouldn't surprise me if we tracked mean wait time for arenas, and we should be able to see if that changes significantly. Are there any new things coming? Yes. Good question. I have 2 questions about the long-term development of Lichess. Will the mobile app get the same love this website gets? Do you see the website fully translated in the future? We talked about the app. There will be a new app, and there will be a new person. Actually, not a new person, an old person who is now getting paid. We'll have a full-time app developer and a new app coming soon, so the app will get a lot more love than it used to get in the past. And what was the second question? Do you see the website fully translated? So here's how translation works. There is a website, let's see if I can show it to you, that we use called Crowdin, and anybody can join it. Here it is, right here. This is Crowdin. You can make a free account, you can join Crowdin, and you can help translate Lichess. The volunteer translators submit translations for different parts of the website. Those translations are then plugged into Lichess. We have pretty good coverage. We have great coverage on all the more popular languages. There may be slightly sparser coverage on on less common ones. There are certain pages that are not translated. So I believe, for example, that learn is not translated, right? Yes, just basics. Or at least it's not totally translated. It is sort of on our to-do list to translate these things or to find some solution along those lines, but I couldn't give you a timeline. Since everything is open source, would it be right to ask how much Lichess pays their web app developer? You, sir or madame, can look at our cost spreadsheet and see how much everyone is paid. I guess that's not true. I think we have a line item for like paying moderators, but we don't tell you how many, so you don't know how much each one gets paid. But it at least tells you what we're spending our money on. You can't see how much I get paid. You can't see how much Thibaut gets paid because there's only one of us at the moment, I believe. That may not be true. I think there's a development budget that might have more people. I would have to see it to know. Not sure. What else do we have? Bug house when? I believe we've talked about this. Bug house when, the answer is probably not anytime soon. Variants are very hard to add. They're very complex. They're very different from regular chess. And bug house is even more different than most variants. So somebody make a bug house site. There used to be this amazing bug house site called Bug House Test, as I recall. And I really wish that way back then I had jumped up and helped them promote and made it a big site, because it would have been amazing. How can I make a bot? Oh, I skipped the question. Hi, Lichess and this other person. I would also very much like new variants on Lichess, but do not want to play on PyChess very much. Why don't you want to play on PyChess? If the variant's on PyChess, you should be able to... Maybe you want the larger player base? Let's get PyChess a larger player base. That's the solution. How can I make a bot? Well, if you Google Lichess bot, I think you'll find our documentation for how to make a bot. It's very easy. Hello, Bird IA. How are you? There's a bit of streaming, I wouldn't call it etiquette, maybe best practices. You're supposed to say hello to individual users, so I'm going to say that to Bird IA. Hello, Mr. Bird IA. How are you? I noticed that Eric Rosen does it. I noticed that John Bartholomew does it. And I want to be as good a streamer as they are. Why can't we do Puzzle Streak on the app? You can do Puzzle Streak on mobile, just not on the app. Open up your Chrome or Firefox and go to lichess.org, and you will see Puzzle Streak there. And you will see Puzzle Storm there, and you will see Broadcast there, and you will see so many things there. Where were we? What is this question here? When gonna come update when you can see how well you see tactics compared to other players, and also compared like other things tactical play? Why am I so bad at chess? I don't quite understand the first part of the question. The second part of the question, I do understand. I understand it so deeply and so personally. And the answer is, I don't know. Oh man, running out of time here. Can there be more cash prizes? Yeah, sure. Every year we have to make our budget. Our patrons have been very, very generous, so we have a little money to play with. I suspect that various budget line items will be getting a boost next year. Prizes may be one of them. It remains to be decided, but I think it's a fantastic idea. How do I import a game while including the name of players, rating, time control, etc.? It all should be in the PGN. These are sort of like user support questions. If you have questions like this, by the way, on a day that I'm not streaming to tell you the answer live, go to the Discord. The Discord is such a resource. There are Lichess people in the Discord. Discord is a chat server, by the way. There are Lichess people in the Discord server very close to 24 hours a day. And if you have very basic questions like this, like where to find something or do you do this, yes or no questions, you can get an answer to those very, very quickly. There's a link to the Discord on the homepage. Does Lichess have any plans to provide a real correspondence chess system rather than the daily chess type correspondence chess, e.g. 10 moves in 30 days rather than 1 move per X days? That sounds like a new time control and not a new system. We don't at the moment measure the time to move in those sorts of ways where you have, you know, more than 1 move, but you can play it in a certain amount of time. There are no current plans, but I don't know, you could make your case. Maybe you could talk me into it. I guess it would be a little bit easier for the noobs, right? Not to call anyone who does that a noob, but it would be a little bit more forgiving, I should say. Because, you know, if you're playing 1 move a day and you miss 25 hours, you lose the game. But if you have something like 3 moves in 3 days, it's a little more forgiving. Although, I don't know, maybe the users wouldn't like waiting so long if somebody stopped playing moves. I don't know. What else do we have here? Why can't... Oh, here's a good question. Why can't we see how many followers we have? Can we at least have the option to see how many we have ourselves? We removed followers from profile pages. If you look at a profile page, let me find one for you. Wait. Let's look at mine. If you look at Lichess profile pages, you look over here. Can I select those now? If you look over here, you will not see a follower number because it's not there. We no longer list followers on profile pages. However, there are still followers on the website. Followers as a feature still exist. I think there was a lot of confusion about this when it happened, when we took it away. There were forum threads that said, like, why did you take followers away? There are still followers, and it all still functions exactly the same. You can follow users, they'll show up in your friend list. When users that you follow make a blog post, you see it. When they make a stream, you'll see it, etc., etc. There's just one number on the profiles that is no longer there. And the reason we made the change is we think it gives a better experience on the website. There are so many people, so many users who break their neck to get as many followers as they can. And they just live and die to get one more follower, to have 354 followers instead of 353. And they'll do things like, they'll be in game chats like, you follow me and I'll follow you. You follow me and I'll follow you. Or they'll make a bunch of accounts to try to, and then follow the same account with their 10 accounts that they made, and then we discover it and we ban them all. And it leads to very toxic behavior. And we just sort of realized you can have followers and you can have all of the things that followers do and all of the useful things they do without having the number on the profile. And if you don't have that number, you can't worry about it. You can't break your neck to try to push it up. Now, I think there is some good things about follower numbers. I think that there are some non-toxic ways it can be used, but I think there are other parts of the website that give that. What's the good part of followers? Well, if you write a blog post, for example, I think that it is useful and it's healthy and it's normal to enjoy seeing that a lot of people read it, right? To see that it gets a lot of likes or you're getting quite a reaction, etc. I think that that's okay. You can still do that on the blog itself. You can still see how many views it's gotten. You can still see how many people clicked like. You still get to see it at the top of the pile if it gets to the top of the pile. You just don't get to see your ongoing follower numbers. You can even see how many followers you have gained. You will notice I've gained some followers today. I assume that that's from this stream that I'm doing right now, although I probably gain 1 or 2 every day because people find me on random pages. So you can still see things like that in discrete bits, but you do not see the one number. And we're not the only website that does that. I believe Tumblr does it as well. And I would be very interested to see how this sort of change would affect other websites. What do you guys think of not showing followers? How do you approve of that? Do you not approve? Tell me what you think. Ankar Gupta makes an excellent point in the chat. Ratings do the same thing. Please remove them also. We have. Except that one is optional. Because that one's a little more extreme. I think if we took everyone's rating away tomorrow, that there would be like a mob kicking down my front door to murder me. You can't take away chess players' ratings. It's too important. So the removing ratings is possible, but it is optional. There is a setting in your preference that I actually use and that I love. I really, I evangelize for it. I love it so much. There's a setting to remove visible ratings. So it's just like the followers thing. There are still ratings on the site. The ratings do all the things that they normally do. They will affect your pairings. They will affect if you can enter a tournament, if it's rate limited. You just never see it. You never see your own rating. You never see anybody else's ratings. All of that is removed. It's still functioning in the background. You just don't see it. Personally, using that feature, I have enjoyed playing chess a lot more. Personally. Do we have more questions? What else do we have here? Oh, I remember this question. This is a good one. This is a good one. Malarus says, the question may be too general to be answered, but I will ask it anyway. Of course it's not too general. What would it take for Lichess to become the largest chess server online, and is this actually an ambition that Lichess has? From the top of my head, factors that may be important: Google search results, how to get on top, sponsoring, attracting big players, chess variants. So there are two questions there, and one of them is very easy to answer, and one of them is more complicated. What would it take for Lichess to be the #1 chess server? That's the hard one. I don't know. I guess more people play it on Lichess somehow. I don't know. And then the other question is it an ambition that Lichess has? That one's easy to answer. No. Nope. I don't especially care if Lichess is the #1 site or the #2 site or the #3 site or any other number. Obviously, I have some pride in myself and my work, so I want people to like Lichess. I want people to enjoy using it. And that should, you would think, cause lots of them to use it and cause the user base to go up. But it isn't a one-to-one thing. I don't think that I'm bad at my job. Like, if chess.com goes out of business tomorrow, or if they make $1 trillion, that has no effect on whether or not Lichess is doing its job well. None at all. Okay? And it's because we are not a business. We are a charity. If you have a charity that feeds the poor, other people who feed the poor are not your enemy. They're your allies. You're working together. You're doing the same thing. If you're giving out sandwiches to homeless people, and you hear that somebody across town is giving out sandwiches to homeless people, you don't think, we got to put them out of business. We're the only ones that get to give out sandwiches to homeless people. It would be crazy. You think, great. I hope every homeless person gets a sandwich. I hope that explanation makes sense. Yeah, I couldn't care less if Lichess is the #1 or the #2 or the #3 website. Our mission is to provide a chess server with all of the things that modern chess servers have to everyone in the world for free. And if that makes us the best or the worst, well, that doesn't affect anything. We'll just try to make it better tomorrow. What's going on here? Let me read a little bit of chat. If you want people to have pride in your work, you should turn on dark mode. Hey, light mode is very important. Sometimes I go outside and work on my laptop, and in the sun I can't see anything if it's not using light mode. This is the classic growth model every other product, service, and business strives for. Not sure what that refers to. Oh boy, time is so short. What do we have here? When will Eastern tournaments be added? Is there any consideration of regular classical tournaments? When is the approximate time Lichess Tutor will be available? When you say Eastern tournaments, I'm not sure exactly what that refers to. Official Lichess events go 24 hours a day, so those kind of just always come at the same rate. Things like Shield tournaments or titled arenas are generally at the same time, and I have heard we've received feedback in the past, which is totally valid, that the time that titled arenas and the time that Shield tournaments are on is not amazing. If you are in India, for example, or China, or Indonesia, or something in that part of the world. And yeah, I don't really have any like criticism of that idea. I would love to do more tournaments at off hours. Obviously, we put the TA when we do because that is the time for peak users that gets the most players. And they're sort of like one-of-a-kind tournaments, so you can't have them all day. You can't have one running 24 hours a day. You have to pick a time when it'll have the most players. Oh, I'm getting hoarse. Why does Lichess make rating deviation high if I don't play? The specific math justifications for that are lost on me, but I guess let me explain what that refers to. You have a rating deviation in addition to your rating, which shows how volatile your rating is. So the more games you play, your rating deviation goes down, which means that your rating is more established. The system is more sure about how good you are at chess. And if you don't play games, it slowly inches up at a very slow rate. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but you have to not play for a very long time for it to go up any significant amount. It may be more predictive. The rating system may be more predictive if you have rating deviation that decays over time. I'm not sure about that, maybe. One advantage of having it decay over time is that it stops people peak sitting. So somebody will get to the top of the Blitz leaderboard and then they just never play again. I'm retired from chess. I'm never going to play again. I'm just going to sit on that number forever, which is slightly discouraging for other players, and we don't want people to do it. We have a Lichess developer in chat saying, the longer you don't play, the less sure we can be that your rating is still precise. Okay. Let's do a few more. Woo! Has there been a case where a moderator has been banned by accident? I can't think of a specific case, but it must have happened at some point. People do get banned by accident, of course. You just you have human beings. Any system that involves human beings will have mistakes. So people just get butterfingers and they hit the wrong button. It happens. Of course, you go back and hit the right button. You can fix it. It's not that big a deal. When you ban somebody for cheating on Lichess, it doesn't apply right away. You aren't instantly you don't instantly get the red mark on your account. There is a short wait time, and there's also short time for what's it called? Refunds, because people will hit the button by accident. It's very difficult in chats, for example. If you have a chat for a big broadcast, so it's like the World Championship, and there's 20,000 people watching, and there's the chats on the side, and it's flying a mile a minute. If you're a moderator and you're timing somebody out in that chat, you hover your mouse over their name, and the little mod button appears, and then you time them out. It is extremely common to time the wrong person out because it moves, or these things can happen. We're very sorry. We undo it. We go put a note in the account. That was an accident. Nothing to see here. How frequently do you think you'll have these Lichess Twitch streams, says Vintage Luigi? I don't know. I think there's probably some limit on how often I can do them and have them be interesting, because I get a lot of the same questions in every stream, which is fine. It just means that I couldn't do this every day. It would be a lot of work, and also I would probably get tired of explaining why we don't have Bughouse every day of my life for years on end. That doesn't sound appealing to me. I think maybe we could do another one in 2 weeks or a month or something. I don't know. We'll see. Why is the Lichess swag store so bad? The majority of its stuff is made for children. I don't know. I'm sorry. It's not all for children, is it? I mean, they have t-shirts. I'm sorry you don't like it. We'll try harder. All gratitude to Lichess, fantastic company doing an excellent job. Is Lichess internal process towards access to user account info, data leaking, and anti-bullying policy robust? It is the most robust. As a European organization, we are subject to a law called GDPR. And every Lichess moderator knows what GDPR is and has a good understanding of how it works, and they have to. If you work for a tech company in Europe, you know very well what GDPR is and what it entails. And these sorts of laws do not exist in the United States. They do not exist in other countries, and they are quite a burden. They give us a lot of extra work, and I'm okay with that because I think the law is good, and I think that user data should remain private by law. So here's what GDPR does. I know what GDPR is. I had to study it for college. Go Europe. So for GDPR, you have to have a GDPR data protection officer, which we have. You have to give users a right to see all of the data that you're saving on them. So you can it's in the preferences, I believe. You can go to a page and it shows every ounce of data we have on you. You also can request that data be deleted. So you can write us an email and you can say, please delete all of my personal data. And we will do it unless, with a few exceptions. And it also means that we cannot sell your data to advertisers. We wouldn't do it anyway for ethical reasons because we don't want to do it. But if we decided to be bad people and sell it anyway, we would be in serious trouble with the EU. Giving away user data, especially if you do it on purpose, is quite a serious crime in Europe, and you will face stiff penalties, which are a percentage of your revenue. So because of that, obviously we take GDPR and we take user data extremely seriously, and we protect it with our lives. This guy is obviously referring to chess.com leakings on Neiman and Luigi. Was it that obvious? I didn't take it that way. How many? Okay, this is gonna be the last question because this is the best question. How many hours every day does NoJoke specifically spend doing Lichess related stuff on average? Let me add this up here. If I am dreaming about Lichess, I think that should count as Lichess time. And that's something I dream about often. So I'd say roughly 20 hours a day. 20, 22. What if I'm eating? What if it's like my lunch hour and I'm thinking about Lichess things while I'm putting the burrito in my mouth? I think that should count too. Yeah. Roughly 22 hours a day, I'd say. 7 days a week. 365 days a year. All right. It is officially 2 hours and 5 minutes since I began this stream. You all have been fantastic. Thank you so much for the questions. I'm very sorry if I didn't get to your question. I would love to explore, just to bookend this, maybe a different format for doing this. We can keep doing this, but I would love to explore some format, maybe on Twitter or whatever platform supports it best, where I can literally answer every question. Because I would absolutely do that. Maybe we could make a Twitter account that's called like Lichess AMA, a separate account, and I would just answer every question that I'm able to answer, not the ones that are like, you know, what's your social security number? That would be cool. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching. We should raid somebody. Who's streaming? Who's streaming? Somebody suggest somebody to raid. Help me out. Who are we raiding? I don't want to raid chess.com, and not because I don't like them or anything. It would be fine. They would take it as like a passive aggressive gesture, and I don't want to do that. I don't want to antagonize them. Whoever is streaming on chess.com, I'm sure is very nice, and I don't want to like pick a fight. Everybody's giving suggestions that are... All right, I'm going to look on Lichester. This is taking too long. Who's this person here? Wait, sorry, I know this is taking forever. I'm sure we're hemorrhaging viewers. All right, I'm rating this person. Here we go. Make sure that fired. All right, that's all. Thank you for watching. I love you all. You are the best. And